4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of the Ready Set Pwn podcast, your premier source for everything to do with the Vancouver Titans. I am Chris at Lightforce, the voice that comes to you each and every week through your auditory channels, and now as well live here on Twitch and a variety of other broadcasting platforms. So again, for those of you who have Prime subs, drop them right now. All those bits. Like, there was someone offering up bits today in Titans Cord. I hope we see all of them. But I am joined virtually by Alex at OmniStrife, as well as Sam at another Sam Chan, also known as L is for Lessons. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
We're learning so much.
I mean, there's L for Lessons, and then we've got Omni here, who is kind of looking down, a little depressed. I can't quite put my finger on it.
What are you talking about?
You're devoid of color, my good friend.
What is color? What is it?
Color is for winners.
Yeah, maybe if we get a W, it'll get back here.
A W?
In the meanwhile, a W.
So have we reached that stage where a win, like we start guaranteeing a variety of different things for the win? Like, is it like sort of one of those radio station contests where like the next caller, the next caller, the next caller? Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the 5 stages of grief. I think we went a couple of steps back. Now I'm back to bargaining here. So I didn't know it was possible, but
oh man,
you gonna throw out one of those? I'm not gonna shave until blank.
I don't have much to shave though, so like the head, I don't want to do that.
I feel like that's even worse.
Yeah,
like the half fake beard is worse than like just growing it straight out and being a hairy person.
I know. It's really bad.
I do have experience sort of like the not shaving thing, but that's like when the Canucks used to make the playoffs. And like I remember in like 2011, I had like, I don't get like this thick beard, but it's like, very thin, but very thick. I looked different is the best way I could describe it. And I did not fully appreciate the amount of heat that said facial hair traps as you transition into the summer. As much as I hated the fact that the Vancouver Canucks did not win that Stanley Cup final against the Boston Bruins, I was somewhat happy that I was able to shave that beard off.
Were people upset in Vancouver?
The thing is, you would have shaved either way.
I know. I just would have preferred to have shaved under, obviously, far better circumstances than
they literally took
them
to the very last game to extend your beard.
Well, yeah. I mean, potentially it should have actually been done. That beard should have been off like 3 times prior, and then finally it came off, and it was a sad shave. Sad shave. Although I'm not entirely sure what's sadder, the fact that the Vancouver Titans aren't winning matches right now, or that the Vancouver Canucks lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. I'm going to give the edge to the Canucks right now. But
I don't think we're there yet. But
it is tough. I mean, it's the Titans are having a rough go as of late.
It's a weird state where I didn't expect much, and I was still disappointed somehow.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into our regularly scheduled episode here, talking about the Vancouver Titans week that was and the week that will be. How long that might be, we're not entirely sure, but we'll get into it. We're also going to talk a little bit about some former Vancouver Titans finding new homes before diving into the fray, which, as you know, is talking about the May Melee tournament, number of players that have moved around the league, and anything else that we can fit into a normal show. So, you know what? Why don't we take a quick second here and dive directly onto the payload.
Moving the payload. Join me.
Okay, let's kick this one off. If you tuned in to our now regular live stream that occurs the day of a Vancouver Titans match, you already know the result here. So spoiler alert for those that don't. The Vancouver Titans played the Houston Outlaws on Saturday and lost 3-0. They played the Philadelphia Fusion on Sunday and lost 3-0. Let's just get that one over and done with. Having watched both of those matches, it was tough. And I draw sort of parallels to the previous weekend where we saw like glimmers of greatness. Like there was opportunity for the team to do something, and it for one reason or another, just didn't work out against both Houston and Philadelphia. Granted, stronger competition, but we saw weird mistakes. I mean, like against Houston on Busan, it's like the Vancouver Titans just didn't have that shot caller, the person defining here's what we're going to go and do. And you had at one point a support line that was structured behind ham and eggs or balls or bombs or whatever the heck you want to call them on the left.
Hey, this is a family-friendly show.
You had Shredlock, essentially initiating the attack eventually, having already slow played it, but then absolutely no support or follow-up. He drops, and instead of resetting, the Vancouver Titans sort of dance around like, are we going to go or are we not? And next thing you know, we run out of time. We had alt economy. Like, it was crazy. Again, it's easier for me to say in the cheap seats here, but holy tamale. And that was indicative of the weekend.
Really tough for me in that Busan map is the fact that it felt like everybody was having ping, really high ping in their decision making too. Like they were so slow to adapt or make any like alterations to their compositions. You saw that I think it was Suna on the soldier never wanted to switch and still keep like trying to bash their heads against this wall. And it didn't work. Like I think the only the first fight was really competitive in a way, but later it was just like it felt like a comp map that you can't win regardless of what you do, and that was very disappointing.
Well, speaking of sort of like Suna sort of stay on soldier, it wasn't just him. Like the Vancouver Titans seemed to be committed to a game plan that they wanted to execute, regardless of what they saw opposing them on the other side. I think it was Linkser came out on Widow early on, and when it became apparent that the Vancouver Titans were able to deal with him with the double shield, not giving him any joy, he decides, okay, well, I'll go McCree. Small shift, but it's the shifts like that good teams make to deal with what they see in front of them. It's being able to have the confidence that making the change doesn't actually hurt. And that shift had a Titans team with the double shield now struggle with the dive approach. And we saw that again, even with the more, I guess, dive lineup we saw in the second map on Busan. The Vancouver Titans actually looked good until they suddenly didn't. And again, I think it comes down to the ability to execute on whatever the plan was in the moment and having the confidence to be able to make that decision and stick with it. They almost seemed paralyzed by choices.
It's gonna take time. I feel like I've said that a lot this weekend, but that's all it is. And I think the other part is just the pressure that these guys are putting on themselves. Like I don't know about you guys, just completely open subject. Do you feel like you play better when the pressure's on or when you're kind of free balling or freestyling and doing whatever hydration was doing on Saturday?
I play better when the opposing team has a lever.
Yeah.
So, I think different people react differently. I think some people really have that clutch up gene. They want it to be tense and they enjoy the tenseness, whereas other players play better loose. And my hunch right now is these guys just need to be a little bit looser.
Yeah, even more so. I think it was apparent in the second map in Volskaya, where we were abused by Dante on the Echo. But in that map specifically, there were atrocious mistakes committed by some of our players. That there was a point there where Dalton was just separated from his team entirely, and he was like, "Okay, I guess I'll die now." Or that one point where Tsuna, I don't know, maybe he had audio issues, but Linkser had walls. And unfortunately for him, during stream, we were on Linkser's POV, and he just came out from the cover for no apparent reason. Like he tried to 1v1 him, and he just died. And it was mistakes like these where it was just atrocious. Like not even disregarding the fact that they're not used to playing together and all the other things. They were how you say rookie mistakes. So.
Rookie mistakes, and that's something I think we have to obviously concede we'll see more of. To answer your question, Sam, I'm of two minds, and this is, Chris sitting on the fence here. When it went through college university, I was the guy that left those term papers to like the night before because I needed the pressure to manufacture the greatness. Sure, I could have gone and planned and prepped, but that amount of time was actually problematic to me. Now, put me into an actual sports environment. Now I'm more keen to play sort of fast and loose. I don't mind the pressure, but for me, if I'm relaxed and I'm just sort of having fun, I find I play better. And I will agree, it doesn't look like the Vancouver Titans are having sort of fun. I mean, getting just beat down is not fun, let's be real. But rewind to when we saw them come out against the Justice and even to the Florida Man. They came out with a little swag. Like they almost came out like, hey guys, let's do this, let's have fun. Things start going their way, and part of me wonders is if the fact that things went their way so early kind of actually threw them a little, and then the house of cards came tumbling down.
Yeah, a lot of it is like the mental state with which they come up to the field, so to speak. When they came in against the Justice, they had nothing to lose. They could have been like horrible and nobody would like blink their eye at that performance. But the more games they play and the more poor performances they have, the more that pressure kind of starts to build up. So I think it might even be detrimental going forward if they cannot find that elusive win, kind of like what we saw with Shanghai, which like the more time they didn't win, it became sort of like a meme and got into the minds of both their opponents because nobody wants to be that first team that loses to them. So that's kind of like I feel how it will be perceived by other teams, that even if we do pull the chips, you know that the Fusion don't want to lose that match. That's what I mean. With Washington, it was fairly close, to be honest. Well, I guess more of the testament to Washington, maybe.
But that it's when they first started the match, against the Fusion. I actually thought they started well, but I think some of that was the whole Chips a meme, the fact that Chips is playing, and it's like we don't want to be the team that gets memed on. I'm not going to knock the motivation if that was the case, but again, I think it takes away from, let's go out there, have some fun, play the game, play the heroes. Like we're going to talk about the May Melee tournament. There is no hero pool, and I actually wonder if not having the burden of 4 heroes taken out of your pool will actually help the Titans now just sort of pick the hero they want and then just play their own meta. They don't have to match, mirror, or anything of the sort. They can actually play whatever it is they want, because what are the expectations going into the weekend? Probably for anyone being competitive is sort of the victory, and anything more than is the bonus.
I think that's the expectation when we're fans or outsiders looking at it, or analysts or people making predictions. But I think when you're competitive at that level, you don't want to lose ever, right? Like in your mind, every match is winnable,
especially like that.
Yeah, and especially when you're on a downswing, like maybe it's all the Netflix and the Last Dance stuff I've been watching lately, but like it's like it eats at you, right? So every time you lose, the next one gets harder. So like I think we're correct in that, outside looking in, nobody has any expectations for the Titans to even take a round. But I don't think those expectations are the same internally, especially for these guys who we know have grinded through various like contenders teams, right? Like when you look at the resumes of them collectively, like they've been in like half the league of contenders, it feels like. So like they have to have some sort of confidence in themselves, especially when nobody else is. And I think that's the internal battle that they're struggling with here. And I think, we have to look to the coaches and Justin is like, how can we really fix or clear the slate of their mentals?
And it's hard just looking at each of our opponents, just even going against the Outlaws. We don't have the benefit of having firepower like Lingzer or Dante.
Lingzer was just clicking heads as Widow.
Right. It's. I know that they went through the fires of Tier 2 and have been around, but I want to put it nicely. There's a reason why some guys were picked up for the league and some weren't. It's not as though it's not a runaway situation where Korean Contenders has ended and you pick up a complete squad of the champion of the best region. You pick up a team which some would say wasn't like a top tier in tier 2 as well, and it's not even the complete squad. So they have multitude of mountains to climb as they try to adapt to this tier 1 journey for them. And like once the butterflies fade out, like we said, when they went against Washington, suddenly you realize that, oh, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. Maybe our dreams and like, oh yeah, we're gonna pop off in the Overwatch League, maybe that's harder when you get hit by a ton of bricks every time you leave spawn. It gets tougher and tougher.
So okay, I think if confidence is lacking right now, how do we solve that problem?
Oh, but my point was that maybe it's not just confidence.
Okay, no, but that's what I'm sort of getting at. Like it might be more than that, but I mean, like how do we solve confidence? Is confidence going to come when we solve the other issues, or do we find a way to solve confidence and then address like I feel that like confidence is a hell of a drug.
Right.
Right. We see people who are overconfident do real silly things in life, but as a motivator,
hold my beer.
Like as a motivator, it's powerful. Like Sam and I, we were chatting this past weekend during one of our post-match reviews, and I had sort of suggested that, might it be an idea that we get Team RSP together so that the Titans can take us on, stomp the living daylights out of us just to know what it feels like to meme on another team and win.
Nice.
Like it's the muscle memory. It's reminding you what that success feels like. And I'm not going into that type of match with the mindset that we at Team RSP are going to actually, take even a percentage point off the Titans. But is that what's necessary? Could it just be that, a show match like that is what they need? I mean, we don't know what goes on in scrims. Like,
I mean, like it happens, right? Even in that Outlaws or Fusion maps, they do win fights. They do get picks. Dalton popped off. He got 4 in a row. So it's just those incremental steps that you got to take. But sometimes we're not just reaching that endpoint. We did win a map off of Washington, and maybe it's just momentum. It's just momentum that we need to pile up and get a win. Maybe that's it. I mean, anything is possible. We even saw Boston win a match this week. So
yeah, that's that's the story unto itself. We'll get into in the fray. The struggle is the Vancouver Titans have won a map.
Yeah,
in their first match out of 4.
Correct.
Right. So that's where I'm wondering, yes, anything's possible, but maybe they need that, that stomping of Team RSP just to again, it helps you feel just a little bit better.
I'll sacrifice myself if needed, if that'll help.
If we get our names on the trophies at the end, right?
Exactly. Runner up.
Well, what happens if we win? We get we become enemies number 1.
Okay. First and foremost, I can assure you, we would not win. We're not that good. And even if we were, if I'm our main tank, I've already rebound goodbye to Reinhardt so that when I charge off the map, goodbye.
I remember how you weren't even able to be carried by Stitch to their first point on Junkerstown.
Hey, I'd like to point out that Sam as well was not able to be carried by Stitch.
Yeah. And neither were the Justice. What are we talking about here?
Oh, man.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But one last thing I will talk about, though, is I think in the general sense, I do agree with what Omni said, is maybe this roster composition itself, maybe we aren't up to par. But I think I want to nix one kind of talk out there is we signed a second tier, second win team. It was middle of the pack. Honestly, actually, there's only 2 members of second win that actually joined the team. And that's Dalton and that's Rolf. Dalton, I think, by all argument's sake, has been our best player, love him or hate him. Rolf has struggled for sure. And I think the other one that had, I just Googled this, but he spent 2 months with second win is Karkar. That was in 2018. So I think there's a misconception that the Titans just went and bought the second win roster. Right. Some of these other guys were in contenders elsewhere, right? And actually Karkar most recently played for Atlanta Academy. So the point still stands, but I think I just want to move the story away from second win wasn't good, therefore we can't be very good. I think what we acquired was the staff of the second win, and by all accounts, like they are all kind of independent guys who have loved Overwatch and have been, building a team. I think Justin funded Second Wind. I might be mistaken on this, so don't quote me. And if you're listening, Justin, I apologize if it's wrong. But these are just passionate Overwatch guys who have grinded their teams up to tier 2. And now they're on the biggest stage. So that's really the Second Wind story, but not so much the roster itself, right? Like I want to give them more credit that if we had adopted a full roster that had been playing for a while, that would be different than what we're looking at right now.
Well, and played for a while and not coming into the Overwatch League mid-season.
Yeah.
I mean,
and not having like 300 ping for 2 of their players.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of factors that are playing against the current edition of the Vancouver Titans, and unfortunately, the reality is that ping will remain an issue. Not having any form of practice or sort of preseason development, this is happening in real time. We're watching it happen in real time, and it is going to be rough. The one thing I want to talk about specifically with the Philadelphia Fusion match is Chipsa found his way into the lineup.
And then his way off the map.
That's true. I mean, that was kind of fun watching him, yeet himself over the edge. Although I think that was more of a, I'm trying to escape. I think I know my cooldowns. Holy crap, I don't know my cooldowns. And
unlucky.
ran out of space. But the thing that kind of struck me is that Chipsa started. The Titans knew that was the case. They played the Brig specifically, I think. I mean, I'm not the coach here, but I think the Brig to counter the dive of Doom. Yet I don't recall seeing him get stunned all that often. Like it almost occurred to me that maybe the stun was being used, in a different part of the fight. But so long as Chipsa continued to harass Karkar and Rolf, their support just was not present for KSA, for Shredlock, and I would argue that nearly every one of the team fights that the Vancouver Titans ended up losing actually had a direct correlation to Chipsa being able to harass the support line to get that earlier pick, or harass them so that the early pick, whether it be main tank or Dalton as DPS, then the Fusion are just such a good team. Oh, we now have a 6v5, hit the gas. And that's what happened. They just steamrolled them.
Yeah, and I think with memes aside, Chipsa is still a very capable player in the Doom, and it's the kind of character that you give him heals, which Alarm and who was it? It was Funny Astro. They definitely are capable of keeping him alive and just and go and wreak havoc. We what you're good at, and that's what we want from you. So jokes aside, he's still a capable player. Yeah. I think you could take any one-trick top 500 player and put them on the Philly Fusion, and they still look like a really good team. So
yeah, the topic of it being BM though, this is the argument that's been has well, the Philadelphia Fusion had extremely bad manners in having Chipsa start, having him play just the one map, and So there's a couple of things that came out of that. One, the fact that he played in 2, what was going on in chat. So I'm going to address chat first. And this is just, again, old man yells at clouds. I'm a firm believer that you act like you've been there before. You don't talk smack. You let your play dictate that for you. If you want to go and show someone up, you go and show them up on sort of the field of play. Like that's, and you give no quarter. But I don't look at people, talking trash or what have you in chat as being something that won't exist. I acknowledge that it happens. It's just not my type of thing. But I have no problem with Chipsa playing. Like if he's going to get into a match, who is he going to get into a match for the Philadelphia Fusion against? It might have been the Uprising until this past weekend. Now there's the question mark of do you want to risk that? So I think the Vancouver Titans are the perfect opponent to get him in. Why not?
He's unbeaten.
Yeah, I mean that's just
he might stay unbeaten.
Yeah,
he might.
And I think even the day before, Linkster was popping off in chat saying oh, I've been playing so much Valorant, I keep pressing the wrong buttons.
He wanted to bring up the map.
He wanted to bring out the map. So I actually have a different approach to this. Maybe it's more gaming culture, but I'm just trying to stay consistent. the Runaway Titans, we talked a lot of smack. Maybe not
yeah.
in chat, but we talked a lot of smack. And what I said back then, I said, like, if you want to shut us up, beat us. Right.
Yeah,
and so that's my message to our Titans. Like, if you don't want to see chips, beat them. Right?
If we are talking about the Last Dance, so the teabagging is kind of like the Jordan finger wag to Mutombo. Like I like it. I'm not one of those people who would say, "Oh, they can't do that."
Yeah, it's showmanship and it's embarrassing. But that's our current state, and if we don't want it to be our current state, then the chip's on our shoulders for us to change that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying. Like, just to go back to what I had introduced, is that for me, you how do you stop it? You let your play dictate that. Like it's you solve it by winning. You solve it by playing well. You take advantage of someone's overconfidence or lack of respect, and you punish them for that. That's how you answer. I mean, but I'm also like, when it comes to gaming, if you play Overwatch with me, you are going to see Light Force at the end of every match say, "Well played, everyone." And if it gets too out of hand in chat, you'll see me engage and try to remind people it's just a video game. You should be having fun.
I'm the one who types GG easy every time when
Yeah, well, that's the reason why the podcast works. We've got a good variety of personalities here.
Exactly.
But the point is that I'm a firm believer at the end of the day that positivity is going to sort of win out in that. And yeah, I mean, to what Sam and Omni had said, it's you beat your opponent and stop them. Right.
And that's why L is for lessons, right? Like, the hope is that with so much embarrassment that you're sending the other way, like, really each of the players individually, they have a choice to make. They can either eat this and make them eat their words one day, and I don't expect that to be tomorrow. It could be even a couple years away, whatever team they're with then, God bless. Or they can be like, okay, this is who I am. Right. And like, I hope it's the former, but who knows?
So moving along, Vancouver Titans play the Toronto Defiant on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific. For any of us who might still be working through the pandemic, that's going to add some tangible difficulties should you wish to watch the match. I know my work schedule has a conflict, so it's the problem of, do I watch it live or do I watch the VOD, or do I try to rearrange my work schedule? Who knows? The struggle, though, is that whomever were to win that match, the Toronto Defiant Vancouver Titans, then plays again later on Friday against a team that gets to choose them, so they don't even actually know who it would be. But is it a foregone conclusion that the Toronto Defiant are going to win? Like,
I refuse to say that sentence.
Like, realistically,
I say yeah. I mean, they're not Philadelphia Fusion. I'd say they're more around the area of Houston, maybe even worse a little bit lately, especially. I do not expect to see what I saw against the Fusion, where we were consistently losing 5v6s, 3 versus 5, or 6 versus 4. It'll definitely be closer, but I don't expect a win. I hope for a map win. I hope that they, like you said, be competitive, and I don't think they have a chips on their team, so it'll be a closer match this time. They could bring out Mangachu again.
He's the coach now.
Yeah,
right. Imagine to bring him in. He's
hung the mouse and keyboard up. So I joined the crew from CA Overwatch, their Toronto Defiant podcast. I don't believe the episode's live yet, but we had chatted about what is the win condition for the Vancouver Titans. And so I essentially defined it as 2 win conditions. 1, Toronto loses. And we've seen Toronto, clutch defeat out of the opportunity of greatness. I mean, yes, we didn't quite get to see that this past weekend against the LA Valiant, but the Toronto Defiant had winnable fights that they somehow found a way to lose. So if Toronto were to go and struggle to that extent, and the Vancouver Titans are then able to obviously take advantage, there's the potential there for the Titans to be successful. The other win condition has to do with the Vancouver Titans winning that first map, and doing so in a manner that makes the Titans look much better than the Toronto Defiant. Because if the Defiant get boomed, and the Titans suddenly, take a sip of the confidence juice, things could snowball. But those are, in my view, the wind conditions that are also reliant on Toronto not playing well. Like I don't see the Vancouver Titans toe-to-toe beating the Toronto Defiant. Not in their current state.
But Toronto is, if there is a team that like plays down to the level of their opponents, is that kind of team. They always underperform, so anything is possible.
So, I mean, again, 10 a.m. Friday, Pacific. We might be
time.
watching. Like,
Luckily, I still work from home.
Yeah. That's sort of the fringe benefit of the current state of events. But anyhow, we will be back, obviously. I think Friday night I might fire up the stream for a post-match review. And then, maybe sing songs. Get Sam to pull out his guitar.
It's Friday then Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, see, exactly. We'll just have a good time. A couple last things before we go into the fray. Avast released his power rankings, and the Vancouver Titans are ranked in the tier below the rest of the league. Is that harsh, or is that simply the truth?
It is what it is until we prove otherwise.
Gotta eat it.
It was
use it as motivation.
Like last week, the Vancouver Titans were still above. Well, I think Avast might have put them below, but now that Boston got the win, it didn't elevate Boston.
Right. It did. We were above Boston until they got their win.
But yeah, now we're not even in the same tier anymore. It's tough. And then as far as former roster, we got Slime, who's now with the Seoul Dynasty. I would imagine Slime had multiple offers. I kind of feel that Slime got to choose who he got to play for to that respect, and he is going to be hopefully playing for the Seoul Dynasty. And I say hopefully. I don't believe he got in at all this past weekend.
No.
So
there was some rumors that the ink hadn't dried on their contract yet, so he had to wait a sec.
Their team is in a rough spot right now.
Yeah. You had the Washington Justice sign Janu and Stitch to 14-day contracts. The 14-day contract is this new thing the Overwatch League has introduced and has had for some time, but only now publicly decided to disclose they exist. The idea behind the 14-day contract is to provide teams the flexibility to deal with ever-changing rosters due to visa issues, travel issues, blah, blah, blah. So Janu and Stitch are on a 14-day, and the Justice actually came out and said, "Oh, we've put them on a 14-day to give them the opportunity to see if they, want to sort of continue forward." I would not be so naive to think that the Justice aren't also using it as an opportunity to see what it's like to have two players playing on ping.
Mm-hmm.
Janu and Stitch looked like Janu and Stitch, but not like Janu and Stitch in a Vancouver Titans jersey.
Well, they're basically solo queuing, right? Or whatever, dual queuing? What's the term for that?
Yeah, I guess dual.
Plus one. So what you and I do on a competitive.
Yeah.
Well, and lose. So yeah, it's pretty much spot on.
Yeah. Twilight is now a member of the San Francisco Shock. And
That's
it was
a weird one.
It was amazing that when that news got shared, people are like, why would San Francisco get Twilight? They already have Violet, they have Moth. First and foremost, great teams are always looking to become even better than they are today. And if you are the San Francisco Shock and you have the wherewithal, having already, moved some players around, the opportunity to sign Twilight, do you like, no, we're good?
Yeah.
Not at all. I think Violet is the odd man out in that sort of relationship outside of, one or two heroes, but Twilight and Moth as a support line is scary AF.
Yeah. Plus, with the hero pools, Zen Bap gets played a lot, so that is also in play. Yeah.
The rumor is, and as is with podcast lore, probably something will come up on Wednesday that Haxel will be signing with the team shortly. Hey, he's no longer a Valorant pro. He uninstalled the game.
He's just getting a new computer.
And he uninstalled it first?
Fake news. Yeah. Fake news. Yeah, got to clean it up. Got to sell it on Craigslist.
Yeah. The hot rumor from us at Ready Set Pwn is he's going to be signing with the New York Excelsior. I say that now, and next thing you know, he'll be signing too with the San Francisco Shock. Who knows?
Yeah, that's even weirder if he signs and then they have Libero and who are you? But
who are you? I always thought of like a mini Haxel.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
poor man's, a dirt poor man's like Haxel. Yeah.
And then the only other thing, and it's not so much a signing, it's that so-and-so had shared on stream that he actually had an offer and he turned it down.
Was it the Titans?
He also turned down my Valorant team.
Okay.
He read my message and shook his head.
Did he even respond?
Yeah, he was practicing his English.
Oh, cool. Well, actually, on that note, I mean, when we interviewed the players last season, and so-and-so was on the list of those that could clearly understand a lot of what we were saying. So he totally understood what you were asking. Anywho, so that is your payload. We're going to take ourselves a short break here before we dive onto the fray.
Back into the fray.
So here we are in the fray where we talk about the week that was, the week that will be, and everything else that we can think about with the Overwatch League, as well as the game Overwatch that we all love, or sometimes hate to love. But let's recap the week that was first. So kicking off the weekend, we had the Seoul Dynasty taking on the Chengdu Hunters, and there's nothing you can do with the Chengdu Hunters but play them and lose 3-0, apparently. I would have not suggested that that would have happened, but that is exactly what occurred. Shanghai Dragons followed up by beating the London Spitfire 3-0, and the New York Excelsior beat the Hangzhou Spark 3-1. Fast forward to the Vancouver Titans taking on the Houston Outlaws, and as we already know, we lost 3-0. The Florida Mayhem beat the Washington Justice 3-1. The Boston Uprising beat the LA Gladiators 3-2 in, like, a crazy match. Like, it was all sorts of weird. But hey, the Uprising won, so good for them. And then the San Francisco Shock took the Atlanta Reign out behind the woodshed and beat them 3-0. On Sunday, the Guangzhou Charge and Chengdu Hunters. Again, Chengdu, real phenomenal side here. They actually tried to take Guangzhou Charge to the limit, lost 3-2, however. The Hangzhou Spark beat the London Spitfire 3-0. The Paris Eternal then beat the Dallas Fuel 3-0. The Philadelphia Fusion, as we already know, beat the Vancouver Titans 3-0. And the Toronto Defiant found a way to lose to the Los Angeles Valiant 3-2. Now, I should qualify that. The Valiant were up 2-0, and suddenly the Defiant decided, oh, we're going to go and make this go to 5. We think Sam's watching. That's the only thing I can think of here.
They were strong, but the Light Force curse is even stronger.
Well, okay, I'd like to point out, just for clarity's sake, that I did not choose that match to watch. Over the course of the weekend, I had suggested that everyone should tune in to watch the Dragons take on the Spitfire on Saturday. I was a little bit wrong there. And then Omni, you and I both said everyone should watch the Eternal take on the Fuel, and that wasn't even close. Like, that was not even close. That was fast.
That's the only reason why they didn't lose like 3-0 Toronto, because you didn't pick them, but they lost 3-2. They were able to almost get back to it.
I was actually talking to someone online who was like, oh my god, like the Defiant Valiant are already playing. If you actually look at the start time of that match, because the Eternal Fuel was so quick, followed by the very quick Fusion Titans, the Valiant Defiant actually started almost like what would theoretically be moments after the Titans Fusion match was supposed to start. So
we're about efficiency here. So.
Yeah, but then they made sure to run the entire length of the stream because they went a full 5.
Classic Toronto.
So, I mean, looking at the weekend, did you think Boston had it in them to win? Like, how much was that the Gladiators doing crazy than the Boston Uprising doing phenomenal?
Gladiators is the second team that's just like, will do anything it can to lose a match. I don't know why. Starting the season, I really love their roster. I mean, they have great talent on there, and somehow they always like poop the bed. And I didn't watch the game. I really want to get to it and maybe watch a highlight, but it's weird, man. I don't really know what's going on there. Maybe that'll be a good win for us in play there as some
well,
opportunity.
Big Goose wasn't in for much of it,
All right,
which was an odd decision. The Uprising actually were getting things done, which, we're not accustomed to seeing. I mean, Fusion's looked like a top-tier tank. I mean, maybe he is. It's just doesn't have the team around him. But Boston looked good.
Yeah, so. He was good during GOATs.
Yeah.
That was the last time we talked about fusions.
Yeah, that's right.
The only other thing that happened in the week is if you happen to be watching YouTube on Sunday, boy, was that a rough experience. Like,
is it getting worse?
Oh, it was the Toronto Valiant match. Like, it was like the rubber banding was nuts. Like, they would rewind. Like, it was like you went back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the final fight, if you were watching it live, you have, I think it was Urex, they're talking about, oh yeah, Toronto's got the alt economy, they're going to come into this fight, and it just shows like the Valiant have won. Like, we lost a good like 30 seconds to a minute of that final fight. And there was no, like, it wasn't like we were all behind. It was just bouncing around. Like, it was, latency was an issue. There was rewinds, there was fast forwards. It was just, it was bad. And I get that, if you think about latency just in general right now, there are a ton of people online, a ton of people, consuming bandwidth that otherwise might not be consumed. But oh my goodness, when you have, stuff like this going on, it's not a good look. And I'm not going to, this could equally have occurred if it was on Twitch. This is not this one's better, that one's better. It's just a bad experience. It's almost jarring. And I mean, think about it. Like the week before, they were having production issues when it came to casting until Jake had to go, ham.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm kind of curious, if we go back and watch the VOD, is the rubber banding still there?
So in talking to the guys from CA Overwatch, you can actually watch the VOD and you can see the fight play out. So the VOD itself recorded the content, but like watching it live did not. And I tried to, I actually in real time tried to rewind, like, oh, can I see this fight? And watching it sort of live, it jumped. So I'm going to presume the VOD that's present is different than the actual live stream.
Somewhere else. Yeah, makes sense. They were probably downloading the Modern Warfare patch.
What, all 30 gigs of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a way to approach making sure everyone just plays your game. You just have such big patches that it requires you to install everything else.
I don't know what's going on, like with the YouTube stream quality and production woes I get, because you have all this pandemic issue, but the quality still gets to me. Like, regardless of whether it's working or not, the quality isn't there. And it becomes even more apparent when they have those really, really nice, by the way, highlight reels that they show from the week before, that there's a guy there that's really talented who's making these. And they show that clip, and the quality is so good. Oh my God, Overwatch actually looks pretty. And then they go to the live one and live feed, and it looks like garbage.
So there was someone in chat spamming, like, why not pre-record and then just play the VOD?
Yeah. I think they're probably running the game on a PS3 console or something like that. Is it available on PS3 or maybe a Switch?
Well, the pre-record
Switch,
isn't even a terrible idea, because like I think they need to stop this like, oh, we're gonna play at 3 or whenever the other game's done thing. Like, one, the quick workaround is you just have multiple channels that if a game goes in overtime, you switch to Overwatch League 2 and boom, there you're done. It's not a huge deal. Like, yeah, there will be some, logistical juggling. But the other thing is, like, I happened to turn on the Titans match early. If I had gone at 2 like I was supposed to,
it was pretty much over.
It's done, right? Like, and it was like halftime or something. Yeah. And I would have turned it off again thinking it's halftime for the last game. So it's
fool me once.
It's and like we're gonna talk about the upcoming schedule, right? But it's ridiculous. Like, what do you expect an average non-diehard Overwatch fan to do? Are we just sitting on top of YouTube all day waiting for these matches to occur?
Well, we've talked about this. Like, back when the Vancouver Titans were playing essentially in the middle of the night for us, I mean, that first match started an hour before it was scheduled to. Omni here woke up, turned it on, saw that it was over, and was like, what the actual what? And this is we're diehard fans, and we're experiencing.
I didn't even know I had a Band-Aid, and it was pulled so quickly I didn't even know it was there.
But the difficulty is that, Activision Blizzard looks at the Overwatch League as appointment viewing, but they look at the league as the appointment, not the particular teams. And that's in conflict with how the team concept is. The team is about, oh, I am a fan of the Vancouver Titans. It's that regional, embrace.
For you.
Right? Well, but you know what I mean? Like that flies in complete opposition to, Activision Blizzard says Overwatch League, everyone wants to watch.
In no world is the Overwatch League appointment viewing, because it's like, 6 hours a day, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
like, who's
long.
got, even in a pandemic, we don't have this much time on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that changes. Like, and ultimately, I think we at RSP, we're a firm believer. They got to stick to the schedule as it's scheduled. It's one thing to start a little bit earlier, a little bit later.
Yeah.
But to start like an hour early, that is completely out of mind. Now, as far as multiple channels, we're accustomed to that with traditional sports. Like, how many times have we watched the Vancouver Canucks, game starts at 7:00, but we watch the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Montreal Canadiens eat into that.
Tying into traditional sports, if you have like the NBA app on your phone and it lets you know, oh, the game's about to start like 5 minutes before that, maybe they should adopt something like that. Hey, be careful if you're like, and you select your team when you download the app, right? So your I don't know, Vancouver Titans are starting early. Give you like a,
Does the app still work? I haven't checked it in.
It does.
I have it. I get like a notification once every like 2 months.
It does work. You should download it because that's probably how you'll be getting tokens soon. So.
Yeah, eyeball emoji. So let's talk about the week that will be. So the only North American match that we know for certain, Vancouver Titans take on the Toronto Defiant, 10 a.m. on Friday. And I'm going to presume then there'll be a match at 12, 2, 4, 6.
True North America.
They're going to go every, 2 hours, give or take however long it takes to
try 12:35.
Yeah. That's the Friday qualification matches to then play into the weekend on Saturday of the quarterfinals, and then on Sunday there's both the semi and final for North America. For those watching the teams in Asia, there's just the Saturday Sunday. It's a lot easier because there's fewer teams that play into things, so much smaller schedule. Now it's not double knockout. It's win and you advance. If you lose, your weekend is done. And when do you play next? Haven't a clue. We don't know what next weekend looks like. There is no schedule whatsoever. We don't know, like, is the May Melee tournament over and now we just wait until June?
Time to re-download Valorant.
It is weird. Like, I understand that they wanted to do something different. I applaud, the Overwatch League for being creative in this regard. But, I mean, if they were going to go with this win and you're in, why not just do double knockouts? Why not make it a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday event? Like, stretch it out a little bit more. Make it a fully functional, double knockout style tourney. I mean, the other problem, though, is if you look at the actual standings, the Vancouver Titans played one more match than I think anyone else did. So it was an unbalanced play-in. So, again, weird.
Yeah.
Anywho, without really getting into too many details, because it's hard to know who's going to play who, because that's the other weird thing, is that, let's say, like in North America, Toronto and Vancouver play. Whoever wins then gets to play the team that chooses them. So the 5 seed chooses first, then the 6 seed chooses, then the 7 seed, then the 8 seed. So, 8 just gets what's left over. But that means, like, you don't actually know who you would even be able to play for. Like, if you go in, normally it's like the top tier seed, so you're like, oh, we know who the 5th seed is. You don't, because the 5th seed might like, oh, we don't like you. We're going to take someone else instead. Like the CA Overwatch guys and I were chatting. They're like, if Toronto wins, who, I think it was Paris was 5. I can't remember who was 5. But like, why would they take Toronto? Might they take Boston Uprising? It's just a weird setup.
Yeah.
Oh, craziness. But thinking of the weekend, North America, who do you think wins it?
I don't know who's playing.
Well, I think so. I look at NA. I think there's in my mind, it's a 2-team horse race.
Shock Fusion.
Yeah,
I give it to the Fusion,
and so I do as well. I think the Fusion are the safe pick. But now that the Shock have signed Twilight, That is a variable that gives me pause to wonder about the shock. That said, we don't know what Twilight on Ping looks like, because I can't imagine he's in the U.S. He wasn't traded, so his visa would essentially be, I think, null and void, and he'd have to reapply. So,
Well, he can play Moira. You don't have to aim when you're playing Moira.
Give me the shock. I'll take the shock. You guys can take the fusion.
And then looking into the Asian region, is there anyone that can upset the Shanghai Dragons?
The Seoul Dynasty.
Oh, I'll take my surgical NYXL.
I forgot they were. I forgot they were Asian. To be honest, for a second.
Well, I mean,
I'm a big fan of NYXL.
New York totally is. So the Seoul Dynasty, I think, look good. I'm not sure on NYXL and their transition, but regardless, the Dragons, they look god tier. Like, I think they'd come into NA and they'd slap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Both teams are now 11-1, 12-1, respectively. Yeah.
I put Seoul as more of an underdog choice, but I think by far Seoul is the most unpredictable team of the group. Mm-hmm. We also spend zero time talking about Guangzhou, who's actually leading the tournament. Something
unpredictable is a very nice way to say underperforming.
Yes, but they did beat the Dragons, so
true.
It was unpredictable in a good way one time and bad all the other times. So I think it's just a fun choice, if anything else. But I think the Dragons are the obvious choice with NYXL and maybe Guangzhou another step behind NY, like in terms of like 1, 2, 3.
Chengdu Hunters. You never know what they're doing.
Yes, Homing's just gonna go ham. Yeah,
the Titans aren't in the Asia server anymore for them to slash.
Yeah. So anyhow, we will talk about what happens next week, and hopefully we'll have a schedule to talk about. Because again, it's so surreal that we still have a world of week to week to week. There have been some moves, other than the ones we've already talked about, that involved the Vancouver Titans themselves, or at least the former roster. So the Spark saw the retirement of Bazzi, as well as, their head coach who left, and in turn acquired Architect. Now, the rumor was Architect was going to the Spark. So when the San Francisco Shock announced, "We wish Architect well, he has been transferred to another team," it's kind of weird that the team that he's being transferred from announces it, but doesn't have the ability to say to who. Like, I'm accustomed to the world where the team that gets the player, receives the player, makes the announcement, and then the subsequent team says, "We wish you well, thank you." So it's kind of weird timing.
Yeah, but I think it's been the Spark hinted at it with a comic, so they've known about this for a while.
But you know what I mean? Like there's a way of things, and the San Francisco Shock kicking off the official announcement was kind of weird. Especially not so much like, "Oh, we wish him well." It's like, "Oh, we've transferred him somewhere else. We're not going to tell you who."
It's a league protocol thing. Yeah. But I think it makes the Spark significantly better, and we should talk about the Spark a bit more, maybe. I guess
should be a Spark coming in.
We haven't had any Twitlongers as of late, so
no.
That's a week. That's a.
Are you sure Bazzi didn't write one, and we just?
Actually, I don't know.
A Billy longer? How's that called?
Billy longer.
Billy longer.
Billy's a video stream.
well,
then you can do it as long as you want, right?
I was trying to tell a joke, and you just had to stop.
I'm sorry I let facts ruin the joke.
You're gonna trash talk me in chat too, right? I know it.
The other news, which actually pertains to the game itself, is the anniversary event is now live. It pushed out to Tuesday, the patch, and it has introduced a number of skins, some new emotes, sprays, what have you. The Hammond skin, I quite like it. The submarine concept, I get the detail. I think it's top notch. And so if you log in, everyone gets their one free gold loot box, and then you subsequently obviously earn more. They also have like the same concept we've been accustomed to, where there's an event that to get your 9 wins, it gets you an exclusive skin. So log in, play, get your wins, and it doesn't have to be arcade. It can be pretty much. I think it's any win counts as a win to the event itself.
For the epic skins, yeah.
There are also some updates that got pushed out. So the communications wheel, as we already talked about, has been pushed out. So this is now going to allow you to have customizable responses for your characters, which many people are currently spamming in Spawn nonstop. The only one that I've gone and added was goodbye to Reinhardt. And you know what? I'm actually thinking, like, I always try to make an effort. If I get booped or I get hooked off or I get, bounced off, I always make sure to say hello, because in my mind, that's just my acknowledgement that you done good and I'm acknowledging my fate. I can now actually change that so that it's goodbye. Anyhow.
Works out well for you.
But you have also, like, it's not just 4. You can have up to, I think, is it 8?
There's a bunch of new ones.
Yeah, like the actual communication wheel, it can be modified so that you can have quite a few. The patch itself also included some updates that we saw in experimental. So Anna, her healing has been reduced slightly, so a slight nerf. Ash's secondary fire, it reaches maximum halfway through her aim down sights instead of the conclusion. So it's a slight buff. Bastion's configuration, his spread's decreased by 10%, configuration sentry. So when he's, the spread being down 10%, it's kind of a buff, but then the shots until max spread has been lowered from 60 to 40. So while the actual spread decreased, the actual reduction has gone up. And then self-repair, it drains it quicker, but heals you much better. So I think that's to ensure that he doesn't just run around right-clicking all the time. Like
Get burnt down, yeah.
Yeah, he can, but he'll have burnt down and you'll be able to end him. Diva, they're essentially a change in the functionality when it comes to DMX, so you don't go and head to the moon and find yourself stuck on the lunar base. Doomfist. So he can now hold down to use Seismic Slam as soon as it's available. So if you hold it down, it just starts to charge. You don't have to sort of time your click. If you land very close or on top of enemies, they're going to get pushed in the front or away slightly, sometimes actually end up behind or beside. And the aerial Seismic Slam no longer has a slight acceleration time. So
when are they going to nerf his voice lines?
And they say.
Oh, how about the Zen buff for the Discord?
Well, I'll get there. I'm going through all the characters here. I mean, Echo. So Echo is her hitbox for her head's no longer tank level.
Big old noggin.
Well, the funny thing was, is I could not understand like how that shot get me. I didn't realize like the hitbox for the head was essentially like I was running around with a miniature hog on my head. Junkrat. His projectiles now retain velocity on ricochet, so they move a little bit faster. This is nasty. Like the projectile speed increase, I'm just dishing like damage every which way, and you can tell that people who got accustomed to the physics are now having to figure
Bronze
this out.
players are in shambles.
And then Total Mayhem, the detonation time was reduced from 1 second to 0.7. So there's really no escape. If you kill Junkrat and you are on him, they blow up.
He's basically a hit scan now.
Yeah. So May's cryo freeze now behaves like her wall, so it will block line of sight and collision. So everyone hide behind the May. Mercy, primary fire. Her healing has been buffed, slightly buffed. Moira's orb, the actual radius of the red ball of death has been shrunk from 5 to 4, but it moves faster. So previously you thought it could get away from it. Oh no, man, it's going to find you and get you. But the duration isn't as long. So while it can chase you down real quick, as long as you don't die real quick, you'll be fine.
Also, it's purple. Just saying.
Yeah, well, if you were playing with a Moira, I just presume every purple ball of death is out there. Let me phrase that. Reinhardt, he no longer has a small roadhog on his head either. I never realized that was a problem. And then Zen, the buff that you wanted me to talk about. His amp has been increased by 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
I learned this the hard way earlier today.
That is great. I'm happy for every buff he gets.
And then there's lots of other changes and fixes and all sorts of stuff too, but those are all the big ones in my mind.
I'm happy to announce that I downloaded the patch while you were listing that off.
Nice.
So it's not as big as the Warzone one.
How about that re-review from IGN? You guys seen that?
Oh yeah, no. So okay, yeah, they gave Overwatch 10 out of 10, and that kicked off.
A perfect game, a masterpiece.
Well, okay. From the competitive side, lots of problems, but functionally as a game, I was looking at an article by Motley Fool, which it's a business online business publication, and they actually listed essentially the value per like million or whatever, and Overwatch is I think number 3 on the list. Like, it's a very profitable game, and that's despite having significant microtransactions that we see in games like Fortnite Battle Royale, Valorant to some respect, like Call of Duty. Like, if you play Call of Duty and you go into like Warzone and you want the latest weapon, whatever, you're spending cold hard cash to get that. In Overwatch, it's truly like, if you don't mind, you'll eventually get everything, and it still makes a ton of cash.
No, I love Overwatch. It's by far my most played game I think ever. The timing is odd though from IGN. It was weird.
Yeah.
There's a big uproar, is what I mean.
Yeah, I know, but it's
online
because people I think are confusing the competitive scene with the title itself. And for those of you who are truly about Overwatch as a competitive game, you have to recognize that you and us, we're the significant minority. Like, the vast number of people are the ones playing on their Switch. Okay,
Switch one's on sale.
No, but you know what I mean, though. Like, I'm
too far. I was with you till you said the Switch.
No, but I use Switch as sort of the the extraordinary example. There is, I don't know, is there a competitive scene on Switch? But it's the casual player. It's the accessible game to the casual player. So. It works. It looks good. It feels good. Yeah, we have problems with things, but at the end of the day, the vast majority of people, they enjoy playing. I play it because I enjoy it. I don't play it because I aspire to be GM one day.
Something about this game, you can't, like, I remember Dr. Disrespect started playing it recently. It's like, I'm suffering, but I can't stop playing.
Maybe I need to go on Switch. That's where I can revive my Overwatch career and get above gold finally.
I think I recall seeing Doc play with Tim. So Tim the Tap Man, for those that don't know.
It was awful watching him play. His aim is on point. He's playing McCree, but man, does he not understand like the basics of the game? What the hell? It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I did see it though. 10 out of 10.
The comments majorly like, oh, that game. Like, yeah, the game's been dying since 2016, apparently. Longest death ever recorded. And like everybody's saying, oh, goats and stuff. Like, even though the
competitive scene.
Less than 1% were actually affected by these issues. So.
The whole dead game, dying game, Valorant's gonna kill it. The game makes money. I actually, for me, I think this article coming out further reinforces that Overwatch 2 is soon.
It's a different game.
You just don't want to talk about basketball.
No, I don't at all. But I just there's all these signs of the pinnacle events taking place for a game that's in its swan song. Not because it's dead, because it's going to evolve.
How much did IGN give basketball? Like, what's the score?
They need to do a re-review soon.
Too much water.
Too much water. Too much water. But I mean, like, on your guys' point, like, I think Blizzard makes the best games in the world, right? Like, 25 years later, we're still basically playing StarCraft. Like, it's the core is the same game.
What about World of Warcraft? I mean, you look.
Yeah, and like Warcraft was a great game. World of Warcraft was a great game. Diablo had also its moments. I was never a big fan of Diablo, but I know a lot of people who were, right? Yeah, like yourselves, right? Right. So like there's no, and even Call of Duty, if you want to extend it to Activision, like they've made some great games. Like, I think every criticism I've ever had has always been on the competitive side, but gaming, like they have it figured out. Somebody doing somewhere is doing something right.
But what like competitive game is perfect? I mean, once you put the people factor in it,
Well,
basically bringing in a ton of
I think the perfection is subjective. Like we have that argument.
Mhm.
I would guarantee someone in chat will be like Dota. They'll say it's perfection, and then they'll have people argue no, it's League. Others will say CS. Someone will say Rocket League. Like I feel what starts to create that fog is that the game that you enjoy playing, you either love the competitive scene or you hate it. And if you hate it, that does not make it a dead game. And if you love it, that does not make it perfect.
I thought HOTS was the up and coming thing.
Oh, it totally is. A friend of the show, Katrina, and I were going pro. Even though the
Mm-hmm.
pro scene that was formerly supported by Activision Blizzard is no more.
Can you get June to help you?
Yeah, maybe he can
Because,
coach us.
the new game on the block, Apex Legends. It's gonna be big.
Opening a Vancouver office coming to you soon.
Apex, it was it was Call of Duty quick for me. The funny thing is, Warzone, I love playing Warzone. And Call of Duty's not my type of game, but I love playing Warzone. Apex,
No.
nah, not for me.
I'm too busy playing through The Witcher 3 right now. I don't have time for all that. It's a great game.
I'm still in queue for a quick play match.
You're still in queue throughout the entire podcasting for TPS.
So anywho, here we are at the end of an episode. The hope is that the Vancouver Titans do well against the Toronto Defiant on Friday, so look forward to talking to you about it, both with a post-match review Friday night, but then as well with next week's episode. As far as following along, for those of you who actually support us on Patreon, there is a post and video that is available for you on patreon.com/ReadySetPwn. All of our supporters on Patreon will just need to log in to watch said video. But Sam worked his vocal talents to bring you a little something, something.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that, but I'm not a Patreon, so I couldn't.
Oh, you're going to have to support your own podcast. Now, you know what?
You know what? I don't
on,
think
I'm
I am
already-
either.
I've used my Prime subscription on this podcast.
I did not use my Prime subscription on us.
I just want to point out, subbing to us on Twitch, phenomenal. Prime sub or regular sub matters very little, but that doesn't get you access to the video that's available through patreon.com/ReadySetPwn. But subbing to us on Twitch gets you access to our one emote that we have so far, which is Wednesday, because Wednesday is a day that's very special to us here at RSP. As far as live streams go, I think we're going to continue to do it. I hope you guys don't mind, but and I mean you guys as in the two of you, Omni and Sam. I think our viewers enjoy tuning in a little bit early because there are some people that just can't wait until Wednesday at high noon Pacific for the episode to go live. So we'll continue to bring you our wild thoughts and ravings. Mm-hmm. So, what was that, Sam?
My webcam works, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And my computer doesn't crash like it did this weekend midstream. So any final words of wisdom you wish to share with all of our listeners there, Ani?
I think all started going bad when we lost the force of Hureg.
It's true.
You can't dispute that, right?
You can't.
No. How about you, Sam?
Well, for me, if you treat losing as winning an opportunity to learn a new lesson, you'll never lose again in another day in your life.
It's deep. As for me, thank you everyone who tuned in to watch us live on Twitch, and for those listening to after the fact, twitch.tv/ReadySetPwn. Smash that follow button, and if you so want to support us either through a sub, Prime sub, Twitch sub, or through bits, you can drop them all here. If you want to support us through Patreon, it's patreon.com/ReadySetPwn. It'll get you access to, as I said, Sam using his vocal prowess, but also provides you inside access to some sweet, sweet Discord love. And that Discord is discord.io/ReadySetPwn. If you happen to leave us a review on any podcast application you happen to be able to leave a review, or by going to podchaser.com/ReadySetPwn, we will, as is practice, read those reviews verbatim. And I guess that now means also live on stream. So we'll see how that goes. But we also give you the opportunity to get involved with our podcast by going to voicelink.fm/ReadySetPwn, where you can leave a message, either a text message or a voice message, and we'll do our best to integrate that in further episodes. So on behalf of Sam at Another Sam Chan, myself, Chris at Lightforce, and Omni at Omni Strife, I'm going to sign this episode off with those magical 2 words, catchphrase.